The big news story around the world today is obviously Epstein. When you cross the royal family and the Clintons, you create a race to who is going to get you first. It's Saturday, August 10th, 2019. Please make sure to like this video. Make sure you share this video with everybody. Put it all over your social media, get it out to everybody, and make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit that bell notification so that you are alerted with the newest video. There are definitely people out there breathing a sigh of relief today as dead men tell no tales. It's shocking as I'm going through the internet today, watching the news, that the media is so shocked and surprised that this happened. How many of you are shocked that this happened? I'm not. I'm sure most of you aren't either. There is no doubt that what happened on purpose. This is what I would call suicided. And it was just a matter of time. This loser, this demonic human being, had some very, very powerful friends. And I'm watching a retired law enforcement agent on Fox News today saying that he believes that more victims will come out now because they feel safe that he's gone, that they're going to feel safe enough to come out and testify to what happened. And I completely disagree with that. These people now just saw what happened to this dirtbag. They never feared Jeffrey. They feared his friends. And look what his friends did to him this morning. So this law enforcement agent who believes these people now feel safe enough to come out and expose this piece of garbage, I don't think that's going to happen, because now these people are going to be even more fearful after just seeing what happened to Epstein himself. He dealt with some very, very powerful people. They didn't want their names put out there. He was getting ready to sing. And now the investigation is going to be much, much more limited. You know, there's some very simple questions for the Manhattan Correctional Center where Epstein was being held at. One of them was, why was he even being held there to begin with? This guy, they knew, had serious enemies at this point. This guy knew some of the most powerful people in the entire world, and he was getting ready to sing. He knew their deepest, darkest secrets, possibly even blackmailing them. They knew he was going to talk. Why was he being held in Manhattan? Why was he not being held at some other federal prison? Why not on a military base, knowing what he knew, the trafficking that was taking place, the politicians, nationally, internationally, the actors, the people in Hollywood, just people in the banking and business industry. He knew some of the most powerful people in the world. Why was he just sitting? I think it's pretty obvious why, because we just found out this morning why he was there, why he was at the Manhattan Correctional Center, because it was only a matter of time before his friends took him out. Another question, why wasn't he on special watch being a high-profile prisoner? Why weren't they watching this guy 24 hours a day? Why weren't there cameras on this guy's cell? Why didn't he get a special cell after his first suicide attempt? I mean, this just makes common sense. I'm just, asking these questions out of common sense, and I'm sure there's many, many more we could ask. Why wasn't there 24-hour monitoring, especially being high profile, the suicide attempt, whatever it was? Why did they put him in a cell when he first got there? He had a cellmate. Why would he even have a cellmate to begin with? But he had a cellmate who was an ex-police officer who killed 4 people and buried the bodies in his backyard. That was his cellmate. So knowing this guy's a ped, knowing he's ultra rich, he's going to be a target. And so obviously this was all set up. And we look at the Attorney General Barr. He came out today and said he was appalled with what happened. Why did they allow this to take place in the first place? This guy had so many names, so much information. This guy was a wealth of knowledge in regards to the trafficking that's been going on around the world and right here in the United States of America, a wealth of information regarding the names, locations, victims, you name it. And he's gone now. We all knew this was going to happen, but it's amazing that the Attorney General didn't. It's amazing that the media didn't. But here we are. He is gone, and he's going to take a lot of things to his grave, as I'm sure he's burning in hell today. But he took all this information to his grave that we're never, ever going to know. Hopefully, they will pursue this. Hopefully, people will go to prison for this. But now it looks like, in my eyes, this case is going to crumble apart because the main witness, the epicenter of this whole case, is now dead. Speaking of dead, brick and mortar meltdown. It is just an ugly, ugly year to be in retail, especially brick and mortar. Wednesday, Walgreens announced it will be closing 200 stores in the U.S. Sears is closing another 21 stores. Kmart closing another 5 stores. Look, listen to these numbers, these facts for these people out there who just don't believe this is happening. This is on this one is on wolfstreet.com. Look it up. In 2000, department stores did $59 billion in the fourth quarter. Now, they're at $31 billion at this quarter, down 49%. So we had the height, 59 billion back in 2000, and now we're at $31 billion, a 49% cut in 19 years. In 2019, expect to see 12,000 store closures, brick and mortar. That's 50% more stores than we saw in 2017. In 2018, there was 155 million square feet of vacant real estate, and more is coming right now. Look at 200 Walgreens closings. Sears, 21 stores. Sears and Kmart's big stores. So we're going to see a lot more vacant square footage. And as I was out just the other day, out in the Palm Desert area, out here in the desert, Palm Springs, Palm Desert area, going down Highway 111, and my friend Sid called me just the other day as he was driving down Highway 111 also, and he was blown away with how many for sale and for lease signs there are in the Rancho Mirage Palm Desert area. They're everywhere. It seems like every 100 feet there's a for sale or for lease sign. So we're going to continue to see more vacancies, more and more vacant square footage. JCPenney's is going to be the next casualty of this bloodbath. On Friday, their stock was down to 60 cents. And you're going to see a continuation of commercial real estate sitting vacant, retail sitting vacant, and we are going to continue to see residential real estate slowing down as we're seeing commercial real estate falling off of a cliff. It's here, folks. It's beginning. Be very, very cautious, very, very awake, and be very, very careful in the decisions you make. I know a lot of people out there are going to be very, very nervous listening to this because it's depressing to some people. It's scary to some people. To me, this is just something you have to prepare for. You have to strategize for what is coming. This is just the way it is. Robobank predicting U.S. recession by 2020. They're predicting it at 81%. This is good news if it can hold off to the end of 2020, because that's going to give every one of you time to continue to prepare. And if you haven't prepared, you have time right now. You look at precious metals, you look at silver, right below $17, there's no excuse for anybody watching this video that you cannot put a couple ounces of silver away. So you have time. That's if it holds off to 2020, but that's not a guarantee. This could happen next week, next month. It could happen tomorrow. We don't know. But this is nothing to be playing games with. You do not want to be taking chances. There's no guarantee that this is going to happen in December of 2020. but there's also no guarantee that it might not happen tomorrow. So you're really taking a risk by not preparing. So make sure you're preparing. That 81% number that Robobank gave, that's higher than the recession odds that model spit out in 2000, just before the dot-com bubble burst. It's also higher than in 2007, the same prediction they made about the housing bubble that occurred. So they're predicting that we have an 81% chance to go into recession in December. That prediction is higher than the dot-com prediction they made, and it's higher than the housing bubble prediction that they made, which came true. Robobank also said this will be the greatest recession we have ever seen. Another very interesting article on Zero Hedge. This is all on Zero Hedge. Do investors realize how much risk they are taking on? We saw major volatility in the markets this past week. We saw major manipulation, market rigging, plunge protection team, corporate buybacks. We saw it all. And this is, I believe, a very, very dangerous time to be in these markets. And it's very dangerous for the people staying in these markets to earn a few more percent. The greed just to stay at the poker table to earn a few more percent. We are topping out. I feel without a doubt, whether it's real estate, whether it's a stock market, we are topping out. Do investors realize how much debt, how much risk they are taking on at the moment? Corporate profits aren't expanding; they're shrinking. You know, these trolls that come out. I'm sure you've read some of the comments, and I try to read as many as I can because they're so informative. So many people out there with knowledge and great ideas. But you know, we come across these trolls who just believe because the stock market is up, everything is okay. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. Answer me this. If you think the economy is so great, how come corporate profits aren't expanding? They're actually shrinking. How come corporate debt is at all-time highs? How come household debt is at all-time highs? How come government, county, and city debt is at all-time highs if the economy is so good? Corporate profits before taxes peaked in 2014. So we have corporate profits declining with an upcoming recession just in sight, but the markets keep rising. Do you see a problem with this? How do you explain this? The article goes on. So why don't markets react to the decline in company profits? Answer: corporate buybacks. Again, this is pure manipulation. Take Apple, for example. They're trading around $200, nearly double what it was in 2015. Apple's earnings were exactly the same in 2015 as they are right now, right around $53 billion. So profits the same today as they were 4 years ago. How did the shares get to $200? How did they literally double? By corporate buybacks. They bought back 1.2 billion shares of their own stock. You're paying near a double premium to buy a share of Apple today for a company that hasn't grown in earnings in 4 years. So if you believe things are so good, good for you, but they're not. And it just amazes me how people want to try and fool themselves and justify that the markets are okay, that the economy is okay. They're clearly not okay. These markets, in fact, are very, very dangerous. We're seeing major volatility. We got the inverted yield curve, which is warning us. We are just a thread, a hair away from the 2-year and 10-year inverting. So we have this inversion taking place right now, and we will see the 2-year and 10-year invert at some point, I think, very, very shortly. And that doesn't mean tomorrow, doesn't mean it's going to happen next week, but it's going to happen, and I don't think it's that far off. A lot of people out there will write to me and ask me for a prediction when this is all going to fall apart. I don't predict anything. I believe that's a fool's game, but I don't think there's anything to predict. because everything is starting to fall apart right now. We're in a recession right now. We never got out of the recession of 2008. It was all smoke and mirrors, complete illusion. We borrowed a crap load of money that we cannot pay back. We now owe double of what we owed back in 2008. We are now going to jump off of a much higher cliff than the one back in 2008. And there's going to be much more destruction and devastation now because we didn't deal with this problem in 2008, because we printed our way out of it. And so we rewarded banks that made bad loans. We rewarded auto companies who didn't do a good job. And the taxpayer flipped the bill for this. It's not going to happen this time. This time it is going to be much, much different. As the Fed is broke, as the Fed has 200 basis points to go, they're out of ammo. We are coming to a dead end here. I want to talk about a few more things here about what's happening currently right now. The markets are not rebounding from these sell-offs as they used to. Dow Jones down 90 points on Friday. It did not bounce back. What happens when the markets lose faith that the Fed can no longer levitate the market? Answer: massive trouble. We're getting close to that point right now. We have entered into a trade war and a currency war at the same time here, and we are going to see volatility in these markets unlike we have ever seen in our life. And if you think that this isn't going to affect you because you're not in these markets, because you're not investing in these markets, put your seatbelt on, because you're going to be very affected. Every time you go to the grocery store, every time you go to the clothing store, you're going to be affected. And so many people just think that they're going to hide in their little bubble and not be affected. They're being affected right now, and it's just the beginning. We're going to see massive layoffs coming to America. We're now witnessing Farmageddon. We've had serious weather conditions in the Midwest, and now with the trade war heating up with China, not buying soybeans, prices going through the roof, canned goods, canned vegetable goods, very limited in a lot of stores. People have been sending me photos of that and articles on that. And the farmers are going to take a massive, massive hit. Although the government's going to, probably have to bail them out too. We'll end up paying for that. It's just bad all the way around. We saw the biggest 2-week drop in 10-year yields since August of 2011. And you think the economy is good? The trolls out there think the economy is good. Please educate yourself. Please wake up. Gold soared 4% this week. Robobank recession indicator is at the highest it has ever been in 30 years. Global negative yielding debt soared to $700 billion this week. As the U.S. has massive trouble with its own economy, China has its own nightmare on its hands. Hang Fang Bank in China bit the dust this week. This bank holds $200 billion in assets. It was taken over by the Chinese Sovereign Wealth Fund. It's the third bank in just a couple months to go under in China. China can't cut rates and ease to boost PPI as food prices are soaring. China can't stop soaring pork prices because half the pork has either died from disease or has already been slaughtered. China can't raise the yuan to ease the highest CPI in 16 months as it's currently devaluing in retaliation to Trump. China has massive trouble devaluing yuan, record debt, banking crisis, food shortage, water shortage. Here in America, we continue to see our own failing economy taking place. Take a look at the bond market if you don't believe me. If you don't believe me, just look at the bond market and we'll just add more debt to this crisis. And it's basically like adding gas to a fire. They've got to keep credit alive here in America. This whole economy is based on credit and debt. These bond yields would be even lower right now if the consumer wasn't out there spending, okay? If the consumer wasn't out there buying stuff, these bond yields would be falling even lower than they are right now. And the scary thing is the consumer is using credit to buy. Most consumers now have so much debt and they're using credit cards to consume, to buy, and they keep acquiring debt. And this economy is based purely now on credit and debt. And when the credit dries up, how is the debt going to be paid back? How do we keep the economy going? We certainly aren't going to keep it going on people making, 52% of the country making less than $32,000 a year. How are they going to buy cars? How are they going to buy houses? How are they going to keep up with this inflation? How are they going to keep up with soaring food prices? We are really heading into very uncharted waters here, and it really should be very concerning to every one of you out there. The markets are telling us on a daily basis with volatility. You look at the bond market, they're warning you. The inverted yield curve, they're warning you. They're telling you, don't listen to these people out there, these trolls, or your friends or your family members who are going to tell you, don't worry about it, don't be negative, just go to work, pay your bills, don't prepare. There's nothing you can do about it. Just don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine because the government is going to fix it. They're going to take care of you. Do not listen to those people. The masses get slaughtered just like pigs here. At some point, the markets are going to lose faith in the Fed. The world is going to lose faith in the US dollar. The US citizen is going to lose faith in the US dollar. And when that happens, your country is going to change abruptly. And for the people out there who think that this can't happen because it's America, you're foolish. Most of you people watching this video know it's already begun. A lot of the world is trying to get away from the US dollar. They're losing faith in the US dollar right now. They're dumping dollars. They're going to gold. And right now, these markets are telling you that they're losing faith in the Fed because they are not rebounding like they used to. They're not chopping down silver and gold like they used to. We are in a whole different ballgame here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's changing quickly. This isn't your mom and dad's stock market anymore. This thing is corrupt, it's manipulated, it's rigged, it's run on algos. And there's just no connection between these markets and reality. But they can no longer hide what's happening in this economy because I can drive 5 minutes from here and I can see what is happening to America just right here in Riverside County. And I think a lot of you have taken that same drive. You've seen your shopping malls, you've seen the shopping plazas, you've seen the restaurants, you see what's going on. What do you think this is all going to look like when we get deep into a recession? When they finally tell you we're in a recession, when they can no longer hide it. We'll say, well, we've already known this for a year, whatever it's going to be. Imagine the carnage you're going to see in the stock market, the US dollar, retail, autos, real estate, literally every asset class you can think of, except for the two most undervalued right now. The two most undervalued assets in the entire world, gold and silver. So I'm going to get out of here, but before I go, please make sure you comment down below and let me know. Comment down below, was Epstein taken out or was it a real suicide? I believe this was purposely done. I believe he was taken out. Some people may believe that it was really a suicide. Let me know what you think. Very curious to know what every one of you thinks. So comment down below. Let me know. Have a phenomenal Saturday night. Have a phenomenal weekend. Remember, every one of you is blessed. We are so blessed. We're walking, we're breathing, we're watching this video today. It's the weekend. We're blessed. Make sure you thank God up above for everything you have because you have so much more than most of the world. I don't even think you understand it. And you know what? You have another day of life today. So let's be thankful for everything we have. God bless every one of you. Talk to you very soon.